I've been using this little camera for a little while now, and I've had a lot of ups and downs with it. And to spoil the conclusion somewhat, I do really like this camera, but unfortunately it's not suited for me. So let's go ahead and dive right in. For more great content just like this, just make sure to subscribe and then turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any uploads. Also leave a like and a comment down below with all of your thoughts on this video. And while you're at it, I always leave affiliate links down below in the description as well. But make sure that you check out Luster Build so you can find the best deals on all of that tech that you're shopping for. It's a simple browser extension that helps you make the best purchasing decision. And lastly, don't forget to check out my merch store if you're into some monochrome clothing like everything I'm wearing right here. So with that said, links to everything down below. The exterior design consists of plastic for the top and other parts of this camera, but you will come across this nicely textured rubber, I want to say, and that wraps around the camera's front. This camera is built fine, I would say, though it is a little lightweight, so I would still treat this camera with a lot of care if I were you. And it's about as big as a point and shoot like my LX10 for instance, which is really cool, so hey, I mean, it makes it super portable. On the top, you will find a function button that is mapped to your images and your flash module, your 4K burst mode button, your power slash, the shutter button, and a mode switcher. On the back, you're going to find a record button, your flip display, a flash switch, and your typical navigation controls, as well as a wheel to adjust the ISO and f-stop in tandem. On the right, there's going to be a micro USB port and a micro HDMI port. On the bottom, there's a mount and a latch for the battery and a micro SD card slot. This camera features a fully touched display that does look quite nice. I'm pretty comfortable using it outdoors and indoors since it's actually pretty bright as it is. It is a touchscreen too, so it's really nice for navigating through menus and things of the like. So honestly, no complaints there, and I can touch to focus as well, which, I mean, I love that feature. And now, one of the best things about this camera is that it uses a micro four thirds mounting system, which means that you can use quite a few Panasonic lenses with it. And this is incredibly important because it makes upgrading so much easier since all that you would need to change on this camera in the future is just the lens itself. So this is a pretty great inclusion. And this also comes with a 12 to 32mm lens that may sound like it's a very wide angle, but it just needs it because you've already got a pretty strong crop factor here, as this is a micro four thirds lens, which makes this lens really more of a 24, I think, equivalent, somewhere around there at its widest, but either way, it's fine and it is wide enough for my purposes, so no complaints here. Now, let us go ahead and talk about the actual video performance of this camera. So let's talk about the 4K aspect first. And all of the shots that you're going to see are going to be shot in 4K 24 for the time being. At this resolution, you are going to get an even more cropped image, and it does even crop in by a noticeable amount. But to me, this footage does look pretty sharp. While the colors may not be the most flattering out there, it can easily be fixed in post if you'd like. However, you don't have a lot of control over the image, since you can't control the ISO, and the f-stops separately, you can only control them directly through the little turning knob on the back at the same time in tandem, which does honestly suck quite a bit, so you don't get so much control with this camera, which is pretty unfortunate. And honestly, I actually kind of prefer shooting videos in 1080p, and hopefully I can show the footage at 60 frames per second, which this camera is actually capable of shooting at, which is pretty cool. You're not going to get nearly as an aggressive crop factor, and it doesn't crop in at all if you're shooting at 1080p. Not to mention that the autofocusing is much faster in 1080p, because in 4K, it's just way slower, and that's another drawback of doing this in 4K, of course. And I did also like this camera for taking pictures, since it does offer a decent amount of bokeh, or bokeh, and you can take some pretty flattering pictures with it for social media, but this isn't a professional camera by any means. It's still pretty nice, I'd say. And it does work fairly decently in low light, actually. Like, I did appreciate it for the types of shots that I was taking. So in terms of its photography capabilities, I think it's honestly just fine, and it's mostly meant for casuals, not professionals, and it's definitely pretty evident. Now onto my complaints, because there are going to be quite a few compromises with a camera this small that offers so much. So for one, this camera does have overheating issues in 4K, where it will get pretty hot. I believe that this is why it does have that 5-minute recording limit if you're shooting in 4K. This camera only takes micro SD cards, not full-size ones. This camera does not output a clean HDMI signal through a capture card either, so you cannot use it for streaming at all, and neither is it supported at this time by Panasonic's own tethering software. You don't really get a lot of control with this camera either. You're mostly at the mercy of auto settings or having to change different settings at the same time, unfortunately, so you don't get that kind of control. And I wouldn't use this as a vlogging camera either because it doesn't have a hot shoe mount for mounting a microphone, nor does it have a microphone jack. So you do miss out on those things. Even though it does have that flip out screen, you should use an external recorder with it instead, since the audio isn't really that great. And I do think I was a little bit harsh with this camera, but that doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy my time with it. As a travel camera, I think that it is actually a pretty cool option. And what would truly make it a better value, in my opinion, is if they allowed you to have more control over the settings and if they included a microphone jack. That would have helped a lot here too. And these are things that could make it a better value for the money, but it's still a great little camera for the money, I would say. It does shoot in 4K, pretty good video in 4K, I would say, but it has its limitations at this setting. Plus, go ahead and treat it with care, and I think that it'll make for a great travel camera or even a pretty good B cam, but certainly not a main camera by any means. However, as a secondary camera, I think this is an awesome choice. And if you're interested in purchasing this camera, then I'll be making sure to leave affiliate links down to Amazon in the description. And if you end up using any of my links, then I do get a small commission that does help me run things just a little bit more smoothly. And also do not forget to give Luster a try, because Luster is actually a pretty cool tool for helping you find different types of accessories like headphones and microphones and things of the like. So do make sure to give them a go, because they also help you find sales whenever you're shopping online. The links to that are going to be down below as well. And don't forget that I always stream on Twitch every Friday and Saturday from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern time. So do make sure to stop by if you would like to ask me some questions live. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, because those are important as well. And with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.